Beloved soul, pause everything for just a moment, because what you are about to hear is not ordinary, and it is not SLU. A message has just been released in the spiritual realm, urgent, time-sensitive, and marked with your name. This is not a general blessing, not something meant for everyone scrolling by. No, this is personal. This is targeted. This is a divine transfer that has already been approved in your name. And if you feel a strange pull to keep listening, that is not coincidence. It is confirmation. Right now, in this very moment, there is movement happening beyond what your eyes can see. Papers have been signed in the heavenly courts. Decisions have been finalized in places where time does not exist. And standing at the center of this sacred exchange is Archangel Michael, the protector, the warrior, the one who ensures that what is rightfully yours is not stolen, delayed, or destroyed. He is not here by accident. He is here because something significant has shifted in your favor. But listen carefully, because this is where it becomes urgent. Not every blessing waits forever. There are moments, rare, powerful moments, when heaven releases something so specific, so perfectly aligned, that it must be received at the right time. And if it is ignored, if it is dismissed, it does not simply sit there untouched. It moves. It gets reassigned. It finds another vessel who is ready to receive it. And that is why you were guided here, right now, to this very message. You may have felt it already. That unexplainable restlessness. That quiet voice inside you whispering that something is about to change. Maybe things have felt strange lately, like doors are closing, but something bigger is waiting just beyond your reach. That is not your imagination. That is preparation. That is alignment. That is the signal that a transfer hath been set into motion. This is not about luck. This is not about chance. This is about divine timing meeting your readiness. For a long time, something has been held back, not to punish you, not to deny you, but to protect you. Because if it had come earlier, it would have slipped through your hands. You were not ready then. But now something is different. Something inside you has shifted. You have endured. You have grown. You have carried burdens that no one else saw, and heaven has taken notice. And now, the approval has been given. But here is the truth that many will never hear and many more will ignore. When a divine transfer is released, it requires recognition. It requires attention. It requires you to be spiritually awake in the moment it arrives. Because the window does not stay open forever. This is that window. Right now. You are not here by accident. You did not stumble onto this message randomly. You were guided, positioned, and aligned to hear this at the exact moment you needed to. And as you listen, something is already beginning to unlock within you. Something is starting to rise. So do not scroll away. Do not ignore this feeling. Because what is being offered is not small, it is not ordinary, and it is not replaceable. A divine transfer hath been approved in your name. And what you choose to do in this moment will determine everything that happens next. There is something most people never fully understand. Something hidden beneath the surface of everyday life, quietly shaping outcomes, opening doors, and shifting destinies. It is the unseen system of divine transfers, a sacred movement where blessings, opportunities, restoration, and breakthroughs are not random, but carefully assigned, released, and delivered according to alignment and readiness. What you are experiencing right now is part of that system, and whether you receive it or miss it depends on something deeper than chance. In the spiritual realm, nothing is wasted. Every prayer you have whispered, every tear you have tried to hide, every moment you felt overlooked or forgotten, It has all been recorded, not in a distant, cold way, but in a living, active way. These moments build weight, and that weight creates movement. There comes a point when what has been held back begins to shift, and when it does, it must go somewhere. This is where divine transfers begin. A divine transfer is not simply a gift appearing out of nowhere. It is often something that has been delayed, redirected, or even taken from one place and reassigned to another. There are blessings that were prepared for people who were not ready, opportunities that were ignored, doors that were left unopened. And when that happens, heaven does not allow those things to remain unused forever. They are reassigned to those who are spiritually alert, those who are prepared, those who are positioned to receive. That is why this moment matters so much. Because readiness is not about perfection. It is about awareness. It is about being able to recognize when something is shifting in your favor and responding to it with faith instead of hesitation. Many people pray for change, but when change finally begins, they doubt it, question it, or delay their response. And in that hesitation, they miss the very thing they asked for. Right now, something is aligning around you. There are forces moving quietly, arranging details you cannot yet see. Conversations are being influenced. Paths are being cleared. What once felt blocked is beginning to loosen. And this is not sluchikaki. This is what happens when divine timing intersects with personal readiness. Divine timing is precise. It does not rush, and it does not delay without reason. There were moments in your past when you thought something should have happened sooner. You questioned why doors stayed closed, why answers did not come, why progress felt slow. But what you could not see was the protection in that delay. You were being prepared, shaped into someone who could carry what is now being released. Because not every blessing is light. Some blessings carry responsibility. Some require strength, clarity, and discernment. And if they arrive too early, they can overwhelm instead of uplift. That is why the timing of this transfer is so important. It is not just about what is being given. It is about who you have become in the process of waiting. And now, you are standing at a point where something that once felt distant is beginning to move closer. You may notice subtle changes first. A new sense of clarity. A feeling that something is about to open. An inner knowing that refuses to go away. These are not random emotions. These are signals. They are indicators that something has already been set in motion, and you are being brought into alignment with it. But here is the part that cannot be ignored. Even though this transfer has been approved, it is not forced upon you. It must be received. And receiving requires participation. It requires you to remain present, to stay aware, and to respond when the moment calls for it. Because the same system that assigns blessings also honors movement. If something is not received, it does not remain suspended forever. It moves. This is why awareness is everything right now. Because what is being released is not something you want to overlook or delay. It has been positioned with intention. It carries purpose, and it has found its way to you for a reason. So as you continue listening, allow yourself to lean in, not with fear, but with expectation. Because the more you understand how the system works, the more clearly you will begin to recognize what is happening in your own life. Something has already been approved, and you are closer than you think to understanding exactly what it is. Listen closely, because what you are about to recognize may change the way you see everything around you. The truth is, when your name is called in the spiritual realm, it does not happen silently. It does not pass through your life without leaving signs. There are signals, clear, undeniable signals, that begin to surface, and if you have been paying attention, you may realize that they have already started appearing. One of the first signs is an unshakable inner urgency. It is not fear, and it is not anxiety. It feels different. It feels like a quiet but persistent pull, like something inside you keeps saying, "Pay attention, something is happening." You may not have understood it at first. You may have tried to ignore it or brush it off as imagination. But it keeps returning, stronger each time, refusing to be silenced. That is not slujadikaki. That is a signal that your spirit is responding to something that has already been set in motion. Another sign is repetition. You begin to notice the same thoughts, the same ideas, the same feelings appearing again and again. It might come through conversations, through moments of reflection, or even through unexpected encounters. It feels as if something is trying to get your attention from multiple directions. This repetition is not coincidence, it is confirmation. It is the way the spiritual realm ensures that you do not miss what is being revealed to you. You may also feel a sudden shift in your perspective. Things that once mattered deeply to you may begin to lose their grip. Situations that once felt permanent may now seem temporary. It is as if your vision is being adjusted, preparing you to step into something greater. This shift can feel uncomfortable, even confusing, but it is necessary. Because you cannot receive something new while holding tightly to what is no longer meant for you. And then there is the sense of separation. You may have noticed that certain people, habits, or environments are slowly moving out of your life. It might not have happened in a dramatic way, but there is a quiet distancing taking place. This is not loss, it is alignment. When a divine transfer is approved, anything that cannot carry what is coming must be released. It is not punishment, it is preparation. There is also a deeper awareness beginning to rise within you. You may find yourself reflecting more, questioning more, becoming more sensitive to what feels right and what does not. This heightened awareness is not slujadikaki. It is your spirit becoming alert, becoming ready to recognize the moment when the transfer fully manifests. And here is something many people overlook: the sign of resistance. Just as something begins to move in your favor, you may feel an unusual wave of doubt, distraction, or hesitation. Thoughts may enter your mind telling you that this is not real, that nothing is changing, that you should not expect anything different. This resistance is not coming from clarity, it is coming from opposition. Because when something valuable is about to reach you, there will always be forces that attempt to delay your recognition of it. This is why awareness is everything. Because the greatest mistake is not that the blessing was never given, it is that it was not recognized when it arrived. Right now, as you hear these words, you are not just listening, you are remembering. Something inside you is connecting the dots. You are beginning to see that what you have been feeling, what you have been experiencing, is not random. It is part of a larger movement, one that has been building toward this exact moment. And this is where your response becomes important. You cannot remain passive. You cannot treat this like just another message and move on. Because the very fact that you are still here, still listening, means that something within you has already acknowledged the truth. You have felt the pull. You have seen the signs. And now, you are being given the opportunity to respond. So take a moment, right here, and allow yourself to fully accept this. Your name has been called. Not by chance, not by accident, but with intention. If this is speaking directly to your spirit, then do not stay silent. Type "I receive what is mine" in the comments as a declaration of alignment. Blessing code 639 has just been released. and it is activating a new level of awareness and readiness within you. And as this realization settles into your heart, understand this: what you are part of is bigger than a single moment. It is part of a mission to awaken, to reach, and to deliver messages that shift lives. When you choose to support this work through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link provided in the description and QR code, you are not simply giving. You are sowing into a stream that carries light to those who are still waiting to hear what you have just heard. As it is written, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, and shaken together, and running over." This is not just a verse. It is a living promise being activated through your action. Say within yourself, "I choose to be a vessel of this message," and let that choice move you into action. Do not delay what your spirit is urging you to do, because every seed you release in faith returns multiplied, and every act of obedience opens another door. Step into that flow now, and let your giving become part of the divine transfer itself. Now listen carefully, because what is being prepared for you is about to become even clearer. There is a question that has quietly lived in your heart for a long time, even if you never spoke it out loud. Why did it take so long? Why did the doors remain closed when you were ready to walk through them? Why did the answers feel delayed when your need was real? Why did it seem like others were moving forward while you were standing still? What you are about to understand now will shift that perspective completely. The delay was never denial. The waiting was never punishment. It was preparation, intentional, precise, and necessary. Because what is being transferred to you now could not have been entrusted to the version of you that existed before. There were parts of you that needed strengthening. There were patterns that needed breaking. There were lessons that had to be learned in ways that only time and experience could teach. And even though those seasons felt heavy, even though they stretched your patience and tested your faith, they were shaping you into someone capable of carrying what is now being released. You were being built quietly. While it seemed like nothing was happening, everything was happening beneath the surface. Every disappointment refined your discernment. Every delay sharpened your awareness. Every moment of uncertainty deepened your resilience. And without realizing it, you were becoming aligned with something greater than what you originally expected. Because not all blessings are simple. Some blessings come with responsibility. Some require wisdom to manage, strength to protect, and clarity to sustain. If they arrive too early, they can create confusion instead of breakthrough. They can overwhelm instead of elevate. That is why timing matters so deeply in the spiritual realm. It is not just about giving. It is about giving at the right moment, when the receiver is truly ready. And now, that moment has arrived. But there is another truth you must understand. Not only were you being prepared, you were also being protected. There were situations you could not see. There were people whose intentions were not aligned with your purpose. There were paths that looked promising on the surface but would have led you into loss or distraction. If the transfer had been released earlier, it could have been intercepted, misused, or even taken from you before you fully understood its value. So it was held back, not to keep it from you, but to keep it for you. This is the part many people never recognize. They look at delays and assume something went wrong. They interpret waiting as rejection. But what if the delay was actually a shield? What if it was the very thing that preserved what now belongs to you? Because there are moments when the greatest form of protection is not immediate access. It is divine restraint. Think back to the times when things did not work out the way you expected. The opportunities that disappeared. The connections that fell apart. The plans that never fully came together. At the time, it may have felt like loss. But now, standing where you are, you can begin to see it differently. You were being redirected. You were being guided away from what could not carry your future and positioned toward what is now being released. Every closed door had a purpose. Every delay had a reason. And every moment of waiting was leading you closer to this exact point. Because now, you are not the same person you were before. You see things differently. You feel things more deeply. You understand the importance of timing, of alignment, of awareness. You are no longer chasing blindly. You are recognizing intentionally. And that shift changes everything. This is why the transfer has been approved now and not before. Because now, you can receive it without losing it. You can recognize it without doubting it. You can carry it without being overwhelmed by it. And that is what makes this moment so powerful. You are no longer waiting in uncertainty. You are standing in readiness. So do not let the memory of past delays create hesitation in this present moment. Do not allow old doubts to interfere with what is now being made available to you. Because this is not a repeat of what you experienced before. This is different. This is aligned. This is prepared. And as this understanding settles into you, something else begins to rise. A quiet confidence. A steady knowing that what is coming is not SLHUCHERIATICACI, and it is not temporary. It had been preserved for you. And now, it is finally within reach. There is a presence surrounding this moment that you cannot ignore, even if you cannot fully see it. A force that has been working behind the scenes, guarding, clearing, and ensuring that what belongs to you is not lost along the way. This is not just about timing or readiness. This is about protection, authority, and divine enforcement. And at the center of it stands Archangel Michael. You must understand who he is in this moment. Archangel Michael is not passive. He is not distant. He is the defender of what is rightfully assigned, the one who stands at the threshold between what is promised and what is delivered. When something has been approved in your name, he ensures that it reaches you without interference. He is the force that pushes back against anything that tries to delay, distort, or deny what has already been declared. And this is exactly what has been happening around you. There has been a quiet battle taking place, one you may not have fully recognized. Not a battle of chaos, but a battle of alignment. Every time something tried to block your path, something else intervened. Every time confusion tried to take hold, clarity found its way back to you. Every time doubt attempted to settle in your mind, something within you resisted it, even if you did not understand why. That was not SLHUCHERIATICACI. That was protection. Because when a divine transfer is assigned, it is not released without being guarded. There are forces that try to interfere, not always in obvious ways, but through distraction, delay, and misdirection. The goal is simple: to prevent recognition. Because if you do not recognize what is being given, you cannot receive it. And this is where Archangel Michael's role becomes critical. He does not just fight against what is seen, he confronts what is unseen. He clears the path before you even realize there was an obstacle. He ensures that what has been approved does not get lost in confusion or taken by those who were never meant to carry it. He stands as a shield, but also as a guide, directing your attention exactly where it needs to be. Have you noticed how certain things that once distracted you no longer hold the same power? How situations that once drained your energy now feel distant or irrelevant? That is not SLHUCHERIATICACI. That is the result of interference being removed. That is what happens when protection is actively working in your favor. There are also moments when you may have felt an unexplained sense of safety, even in uncertain situations. Times when things could have gone wrong, but somehow did not. Moments where you avoided something without fully understanding why. That was not luck. That was intervention. Because when something significant is being prepared for you, you are not left unguarded. Archangel Michael's presence ensures that you arrive at this moment intact, not broken, not lost, but ready. And now, his role is shifting. Before, he was primarily protecting what was being prepared. Now, he is ensuring the delivery of what has been approved. This is where movement becomes more visible. This is where things begin to align more quickly. This is where what once felt distant begins to move toward you with intention. But there is something you must do in response. You must remain aware. Because even with protection, recognition is still required. You are not meant to receive this blindly. You are meant to step into it consciously, understanding that what is happening is not SLUCHAIKAKI. It is guided, it is protected, and it is intentional. This is why you feel this sense of attention rising within you. This is why something inside you refuses to ignore this moment. Because you are not alone in this process. You are being guided, guarded, and positioned all at once. And here is something deeper to hold on to. Archangel Michael does not stand where there is no purpose. His presence in your life at this moment is confirmation that what is being transferred carries weight. It carries significance. It is not something small or temporary. It is something that required protection before it could be placed in your hands. And now, that placement is closer than ever. So as you continue forward, do not allow doubt to re-enter. Do not question whether this is real or whether it applies to you. Because the very protection that has brought you this far is still active, still guiding, still ensuring that you do not miss what is yours. You are not walking into this alone. You are being escorted into it. And what is being delivered has already been defended on your behalf. Now, you may be asking the question that has been quietly forming in your mind this entire time. What exactly is being transferred to me? What is this thing that has been prepared, protected, and now approved in my name? And the answer is not as simple as a single word, because what is coming towards you is not one-dimensional. It is layered, intentional, and deeply connected to the journey you have already walked. This is not just about receiving something material, although for some, it may include that. This is not just about a visible opportunity, although doors will open in ways you did not expect. What is being transferred to you is something that touches multiple areas of your life at once. It is a shift, a realignment that begins internally and then manifests externally. For some, this transfer carries the energy of restoration. Things that once felt broken, delayed, or lost begin to return, not in the same fragile form they were before, but stronger, clearer, and more aligned with who you have become. Relationships may heal or be replaced with healthier ones. Opportunities that once slipped away may return in a new form, better suited for your current path. What felt like an ending begins to reveal itself as a redirection towards something greater. For others, this transfer is deeply connected to provision, a financial breakthrough, a career shift, or a new source of stability may begin to unfold. But understand this clearly. This is not SLUCHAIKAKI wealth or SLUCHAIKAKI success. That is provision with purpose. It is something that not only meets your needs but also positions you to move forward with confidence and clarity. It is the removal of constant struggle and the introduction of steady ground beneath your feet. And then there are those who will experience this transfer as peace, not the temporary kind that comes and goes depending on circumstances, but a deep, unshakable peace that settles within you regardless of what is happening around you. The kind of peace that allows you to think clearly, to act wisely, and to remain steady even when things are shifting. This kind of transfer is often overlooked because it is quiet, but it is one of the most powerful forms of transformation. Because when your mind is clear, everything else begins to align. There is also a level of clarity being transferred to you. Answers you have been searching for will begin to surface. Confusion that once surrounded certain decisions will start to fade. You will begin to see paths more clearly, recognize opportunities more quickly, and trust your own discernment in a way you could not before. This clarity is not SLUCHAIKAKUI. It is part of the preparation meeting the moment of release. And here is something important to understand. Even though these possibilities may sound broad, what is being transferred to you is specific. It is tailored to your life, your experiences, your needs, and your purpose. It is not something generic that could belong to anyone. It is something that has been aligned with you over time, shaped by what you have gone through and what you are meant to step into next. This is why comparison does not belong in this moment. What is being given to you will not look exactly like what is given to someone else. And that is intentional. Because your path is different, your purpose is different, and your timing is different. Trying to measure your transfer against someone else's will only create confusion. What you are receiving is designed specifically for you. And yet, there is still an element of mystery. Because not everything will be revealed all at once. Some parts of this transfer will unfold gradually, step by step, as you move forward. You may recognize the first piece immediately, while other aspects reveal themselves over time. This is not delay, it is design. Because if everything were revealed at once, it could overwhelm instead of guide. But when it unfolds in stages, it allows you to grow into it, to understand it, and to fully receive it. So do not expect everything to arrive in a single moment. Instead, stay aware of what begins to shift. Pay attention to new opportunities, new ideas, new connections. And notice where things begin to feel lighter, clearer, more aligned. These are the entry points of the transfer. These are the signs that what has been approved is now beginning to take form in your life. And as this happens, remember this one truth above all. What is being transferred to you is not SLUCHAIKAKUI. It has been chosen, prepared, and protected specifically for you. And now, it is moving toward you in ways that are already beginning to unfold. There is something you must face with honesty in this moment, even if it feels uncomfortable to hear. Not every missed opportunity in life happens because something was taken from you. Sometimes, it happens because something was not recognized when it arrived. And this is exactly why what you are experiencing right now carries such urgency. A divine transfer is powerful, but it is not forced. It does not push its way into your life without your awareness. It arrives, it aligns, and it waits, but it does not wait forever. This is the part that many people struggle to accept. They believe that if something is truly meant for them, it will remain no matter what. But in the spiritual realm, movement is constant. What is not received does not remain suspended in place. As if it finds another path, it is reassigned to someone who is ready to recognize and accept it. This is not meant to create fear. It is meant to awaken responsibility. Because right now, you are standing in a moment that requires your attention. And the greatest danger is not that something is being taken from you. It is that something could pass by you unnoticed. That is how opportunities are lost. Not through force, but through inattention. Not through denial, but through delay. Think about how many times in the past something appeared in your life, but you hesitated. You questioned it. You doubted whether it was real or whether you were ready. And in that hesitation, the moment passed, At the time, it may not have seemed significant, but later, you may have looked back and realized that something important was standing right in front of you. This is not that moment again. This is a new moment, but it carries a similar choice. Because even now, as you are hearing this, there may still be a part of you that wants to pause, to analyze, to wait a little longer before fully accepting what is being revealed. That instinct may feel safe, but it can also create distance between you and what is already moving toward you. Delay is subtle. It does not always feel like rejection. Sometimes it feels like caution, like wanting to be sure, like needing more time. But in moments like this, too much delay can create misalignment. Because when something is ready to be received, it requires a response that matches its timing. And that timing is now. You are not being asked to rush blindly. You are being asked to remain present, to stay aware, and to respond when you recognize that something is opening. Because what is happening around you is not SLUCHE. It is structured, intentional, and already in motion. There is also another layer of danger that must be understood. Distraction. When something significant is about to enter your life, distractions often increase. You may find yourself pulled toward things that do not truly matter. Your attention may be scattered. Your focus may weaken. This is not always random. It can be a way of keeping you from recognizing what is actually important in the moment. Because if your attention is divided, your recognition becomes delayed. And if your recognition is delayed, your response is delayed. And when your response is delayed, the transfer itself can shift. This is why clarity and awareness are so important right now. You must be intentional about where your focus goes. You must be willing to step back from what drains your attention and lean into what strengthens your awareness. Because the clearer you are, the easier it becomes to recognize what is being placed in front of you. And here is something that should bring you both clarity and urgency at the same time. What is meant for you is still within reach. It has not been taken away. It has not been lost. It has not been given to someone else yet. But it is in motion. And because it is in motion, it requires alignment to meet it at the right point. This is that point. So do not treat this moment casually. Do not assume that you can return to it later in the same way. Because moments like this are not repeated in identical form. They come, they align, and they move. But if you remain aware, if you stay present, if you choose to recognize what is happening instead of ignoring it, you position yourself perfectly to receive what has already been approved in your name. You are not being rushed. You are being awakened. And what you do with this awareness will determine whether this transfer becomes your reality or just another moment that passed without being fully received. There comes a moment in every divine alignment where awareness must turn into action. Not a complicated action, not something heavy or overwhelming, but a clear, intentional response that signals you are ready to receive what has already been set in motion. This is that moment for you. Everything you have felt, everything you have recognized, everything that has been building within you is leading to this single point of decision. What you must do right now is simple, but it is powerful. You must choose to open yourself fully, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to what is being transferred into your life. That means releasing the instinct to doubt, letting go of the habit of overthinking, and stepping out of the pattern of hesitation that may have held you back before. Because what is being delivered cannot settle into a space that is closed or resistant. You do not need to have every detail figured out. You do not need to understand exactly how everything will unfold. Your role is not to control the process. Your role is to receive it. And receiving begins with acceptance, Say it within yourself, clearly and without resistance. I am ready to receive what has been prepared for me. This is not just a statement. It is an alignment. When you declare readiness, you shift your position. You move from waiting to receiving. You move from questioning to allowing. And the shift creates space for what has already been approved to begin taking form in your life. But there is another step that is just as important. You must stay present. Do not allow your attention to drift back into distraction. Do not return to the patterns of doubt that try to pull you away from this moment. Because once you have opened yourself to receive, your awareness becomes the key that keeps everything aligned. The more present you are, the more clearly you will recognize the ways in which this transfer begins to appear. It may not arrive in a dramatic way. It may come through a simple opportunity, a conversation, an idea, a sudden sense of direction that feels different from anything you have experienced before. Do not overlook these moments. Do not dismiss them because they seem small. Because what begins small can carry something much greater within it. This is how divine transfers often unfold. They enter quietly, but they expand quickly when they are recognized. So when something feels aligned, when it feels clear, steady, and purposeful, lean into it. Do not pull back out of fear or uncertainty, because hesitation at this stage can slow the very movement that is trying to reach you. And remember this: you are not doing this alone. There is guidance surrounding you. There is protection still active, and there is a path being cleared as you move forward. Your responsibility is not to create the path, it is to walk it when it becomes visible. And that visibility begins with your willingness to respond. Right now, as you hear these words, something within you is already responding. You can feel it. That quiet sense of readiness, that subtle shift in your thinking, that awareness that this moment is different from others, that is your signal. Do not ignore it. Instead, act on it. Take this moment seriously. Let it mark a shift in how you see what is unfolding in your life. Because this is not just another message, it is a point of activation. A moment where awareness becomes movement, and movement leads to manifestation. So if you feel this alignment within you, if you recognize that something real is happening, then respond to it openly. Type "I am ready to receive" in the comments as a declaration of your alignment. Blessing code 8421 is now activated, and it is strengthening your connection to what has already been approved in your name. And as you step into this readiness, understand something deeper. This moment is not only about you. There are others who are still waiting to hear what you have just heard, still searching for clarity, still hoping for confirmation. When you choose to support this mission, through super thanks or through the PayPal link provided in the description and QR code, you are becoming part of a living stream that carries these messages further than you can see. As it is spoken, cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. This is not just a phrase, it is a divine principle in motion. Say within yourself, "I release my seed into this purpose," and act on that declaration. Do not hold back when your spirit is being moved to participate, because what you give in alignment returns with increase, and what you release in faith multiplies beyond expectation. Step into that flow now, and let your action become part of the transfer itself. And now remain aware, because what comes next will bring everything into even sharper focus. There is something powerful that happens when you begin to see proof, not just in your own life, but in the lives of others who have stood exactly where you are standing now. Because sometimes, belief is strengthened when you realize that what feels impossible has already happened for someone else. And the truth is, divine transfers are not rare events reserved for a few. They happen more often than people realize, but only those who are aware can truly recognize them when they unfold. There was someone who once felt completely stuck, unable to move forward no matter how hard they tried. Every effort seemed to lead nowhere. Opportunities would appear, only to disappear just as quickly. It felt like a cycle that would never break. But what they did not understand at the time was that something was being prepared behind the scenes. A transfer had already been approved. It simply had not reached them yet. Then, in what seemed like an ordinary moment, everything shifted. A single conversation led to an unexpected opportunity. That opportunity opened a door that had previously been closed. And within a short period of time, what once felt impossible became reality. Stability replaced uncertainty. Direction replaced confusion. And when they looked back, they realized something important. It did not happen slauchadikaki. It happened because they were finally aligned when the moment arrived. Here is another story, one that does not involve sudden external change, but something just as powerful. This person had been carrying a weight for years. Stress, uncertainty, and emotional exhaustion had become part of their daily life. They were constantly searching for peace, but it always seemed temporary, always just out of reach. And then, without warning, something shifted within them. The same situations were still around them, but their response to those situations changed completely. Clarity replaced confusion. Calm replaced anxiety. And for the first time in a long time, they felt steady. What had been transferred to them was not something visible. It was internal. But that internal shift changed everything externally. Their decisions improved. Their relationships became healthier. Their direction became clear. And they realized that what they had received was just as valuable, if not more, than anything material. And then there are those who experience a restoration they never expected. One individual had lost something they believed would never return. It could have been a relationship, an opportunity, or a sense of purpose. Time had passed, and they had slowly accepted that it was gone. But what they did not know was that what was lost was being reshaped, realigned, and prepared to return in a better form. When it came back, it was different. Stronger, more stable, more aligned with who they had become. And in that moment, they understood something clearly. The delay had not been a loss. It had been a transformation process. And what was transferred back to them was greater than what they had before. These are not slauchadikaki stories. They are reflections of how divine transfers work. They may look different on the surface, but they share the same foundation: timing, alignment, and recognition. In every case, something had already been prepared. Something had already been approved. And when the moment came, it required awareness to receive it. And now bring your attention back to yourself. Because what you are experiencing is not separate from these stories. It is part of the same pattern. You are standing in a moment where something has already been set in motion. You are not waiting for something to begin. It has already begun. The question is not whether it will happen. The question is whether you will recognize it as it unfolds. Because just like in these testimonies, it may not arrive in the way you expect. It may not look exactly how you imagined. But it will carry a feeling of alignment, a sense that something is right, something is clear, something is different. That feeling is your confirmation. You not ignore it. You not question it into silence. Because the more you trust that recognition, the more clearly you will see how everything begins to connect. And here is what should strengthen your confidence even more. None of these people knew exactly when their moment would arrive. None of them had a perfect understanding of how it would unfold. But when it did, something within them responded. Something recognized the shift and moved with it instead of resisting it. That is what you are being called to do now. Not to force anything, not to chase anything, but to recognize and respond. Because what is moving toward you is already carrying the weight of approval, the support of alignment, and the protection that has brought you this far. And just like in every testimony, when it fully arrives, you will look back at this moment and realize this is when everything began to change. Now that you understand what is unfolding and how it begins to take shape, there's something equally important you must learn: how to remain aligned after the transfer begins to manifest. Because receiving is only the first step. What you do after receiving determines whether what has been given continues to grow or slowly fades through neglect, doubt, or distraction. Alignment is not a one-time decision. It is a continuous state of awareness. When something new enters your life, whether it is clarity, opportunity, peace, or provision, it requires space to settle and grow. And that space is created through your consistency. The way you think, the way you respond, and the way you choose to move forward all play a role in sustaining what has been given to you. One of the first things you must guard against is doubt. Doubt does not always appear loudly. Sometimes it enters quietly, through small questions that seem harmless at first. Is this really for me? What if it doesn't last? What if I misunderstand what is happening? These thoughts may seem natural, but if they are entertained too often, they begin to weaken your connection to what you have received. Because doubt shifts your focus away from alignment and back into uncertainty. And when your focus shifts, your actions begin to shift as well. This is why it is so important to remain grounded in what you have already recognized. You do not need constant new confirmation. The fact that you have reached this moment, that you have felt this alignment, that you have begun to see shifts, that is your confirmation. Hold on to that. Do not allow it to be replaced by overthinking or unnecessary questioning. Another thing to be aware of is distraction. As soon as something valuable begins to take form in your life, distractions often increase. Not always in obvious ways, but in subtle shifts of attention. You may find yourself pulled toward things that drain your energy or take your focus away from what is actually important. This is not SLUJIAKAKI, because distraction weakens awareness, and weakened awareness makes it easier to overlook what needs to be nurtured. So be intentional with your focus. Pay attention to what strengthens your clarity and what weakens it. Choose to engage with what keeps you aligned and step back from what pulls you away. Because alignment is not maintained automatically, it is maintained through conscious choice. There is also the importance of gratitude. Gratitude is not just a reaction. It is a stabilizing force. When you acknowledge what has been given to you, you reinforce its presence in your life. You create a sense of recognition that keeps you connected to it. Gratitude shifts your perspective from uncertainty to appreciation, and that shift strengthens your ability to hold on to what you have received. Even in the early stages, when everything is still unfolding, choose to be grateful. Not because everything is fully visible yet, but because you understand that something real has already begun. And then there is trust. Trust is what allows you to move forward without needing to control every detail. It is what keeps you steady when things are still taking shape. Because not everything will be immediate. Some parts of this transfer will unfold over time, step by step, in ways that require patience as well as awareness. Do not confuse gradual unfolding with delay. Just because something is not fully visible yet does not mean it is not working in your favor. In fact, some of the most important developments happen beneath the surface where you cannot immediately see them. Your role is not to rush the process. It is to remain aligned while it continues. This is how you sustain what has been given. By protecting your clarity, by maintaining your focus, by choosing gratitude, and by trusting the process as it unfolds. And here is something you must hold on to. You have already crossed the point of waiting. You are no longer hoping for something to begin. You are now in the phase where something is already moving. And that shift requires a different mindset. It requires you to move from seeking to maintaining, from questioning to trusting, from waiting to walking forward. Because what has been transferred to you is not temporary. It is meant to remain. But it remains through alignment. To stay aware, stay grounded, stay connected to what you have already recognized. Because the more aligned you remain, the more clearly you will see how everything continues to unfold in your favor. There is a moment in every journey like this where everything becomes clear, not because every detail is revealed, but because something deep within you finally settles into certainty. This is that moment. You have heard the message, you have recognized the signs, you have felt the shift, and now there is one final thing that must happen within you: confirmation. Not from outside voices, not from repeated explanations, but from within your own spirit. Because the truth is, the confirmation you have been waiting for has been building this entire time. It has been forming through every word that resonated, every feeling that stirred within you, every moment where something inside you said, "This is for me." That is not SLU. That is your inner awareness aligning with what has already been declared. You do not arrive at a moment like this by accident. Think about it carefully. Out of everything you could be doing, out of every place your attention could be, you are here, fully engaged with this message, still listening, still leaning in. Alone is a form of confirmation. Because when something is not meant for you, it does not hold your attention in this way. It passes by without impact. But this has stayed with you. And there is a reason for that. Because something within you recognizes truth when it is presented clearly. And now, that recognition is asking for acceptance. This is where many people hesitate. They reach a point of understanding, but instead of fully accepting it, they pause. They wait for something more, another sign, another message, another layer of confirmation. But what they do not realize is that they are already standing in the confirmation they were asking for. You do not need more proof. You need to trust what you already know. Because the longer you delay that trust, the more you create distance between yourself and what is already aligned with you. Not because it disappears, but because your awareness becomes divided. And when your awareness is divided, your response becomes uncertain. But right now, everything is clear. You know this moment is different. You feel that something has shifted. You sense that what is being presented is not SLU. Is directed, intentional, and meant to reach you. That is your confirmation. And once you accept that, something powerful happens. You stop searching. You stop questioning whether this applies to you. You stop holding back part of yourself in hesitation. Instead, you step fully into alignment with what has already been approved. This is the point where everything begins to stabilize. Because when your internal state matches what is being offered, there is no resistance left. There is no conflict between doubt and belief. There is only clarity, and from that clarity comes confident movement. And this is where your focus must remain. Not on what can go wrong, not on what has happened in the past, but on what is already unfolding now. Because the past does not define this moment. This moment defines what comes next. There may have been times before when you doubted, when you hesitated, when you missed something that later became clear. But this is not that moment. This is a new alignment, a new awareness, a new opportunity to respond differently. And you already are. The fact that you are still here, still engaged, still open to receiving, this shows that something has already changed within you. You are not approaching this the same way you may have approached things before. You are more aware, more present, more ready. That is why this message has reached you now. Because now, you can receive it fully. So let this be the moment where you stop holding back. Let this be the moment where you accept, without hesitation, that what is being transferred is meant for you. Let this be the moment where you move forward not with uncertainty, but with quiet confidence. Because you are not guessing anymore. You are recognizing. And recognition is the final step before receiving becomes reality. So hold on to this certainty. Carry it with you as you move forward. Because everything that follows will build upon this foundation. And what has already been approved in your name is now closer than ever to being fully realized in your life. Now, take a slow breath and allow everything you have just received to settle within you. Not as pressure, not as urgency that overwhelms you, but as peace. Because what has been approved in your name is no longer something distant or uncertain. It is here, is within reach, and more importantly, it is already aligning itself with your life in ways you are beginning to recognize. This is not a moment to feel anxious. This is a moment to feel calm confidence. Because everything that needed to happen before this point has already happened. The preparation is complete. The protection has been active. The alignment has been established. And now, the transfer is no longer waiting for approval. It is moving toward manifestation. You do not have to force anything. You do not have to chase anything. You do not have to struggle to make this real. What is yours is already finding its way to you. And as this truth settles into your spirit, you may begin to feel something new, something steady, something grounding. A sense that you no longer need to question whether this is real. A quiet knowing that what you have been waiting for is no longer ahead of you, it is unfolding around you. This is the shift. This is the moment where everything changes, not because something suddenly appears out of nowhere, but because you now see clearly what has been there, moving, aligning, and preparing all along. And through all of this, the presence of Archangel Michael remains with you, not as a distant figure, but as a steady protector, ensuring that what has been delivered is secured, guarded, and sustained. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into something that has already been defended on your behalf. So release any remaining doubt. Let go of the need to control every outcome. Allow yourself to rest in the understanding that what has been approved cannot be undone when it is received with awareness and trust. And now, as you stand in this moment of completion, there is only one thing left to do. Receive it fully, not partially, not with hesitation, but with complete openness, knowing that you are ready, you are aligned, and you are chosen for this moment. If this message has reached your spirit, then respond with intention. Type "IT is done" in the comments as a declaration that you accept what has been released in your name. Blessing code 9117 is now activated, sealing this moment of transfer with peace, clarity, and divine assurance. And as this peace settles over you, understand something sacred. This moment you are standing in is not only for you. There are countless others who are still searching, still waiting, still hoping to hear a message like this. When you feel that stirring in your heart to support this mission through super thanks or through the PayPal link provided in the description and QR code, you are not just giving. You are releasing seed into a harvest of souls. As the living word declares, whoever sows generously will also reap generously. And this is that moment where your action becomes a river that carries light further than you can see. I feel called to be part of this flow. Let that be your personal declaration as you act. Do not delay what your spirit is prompting you to do right now, because this is not just support. It is alignment with the very transfer you have received. As you give, may doors open before you, may provision meet you without struggle, and may peace remain anchored within you. Step into this fully, receive it completely, and walk forward knowing it is already done.